Welcome to the second assembly video for SeaPerch Utah. This video will teach you all the steps necessary to waterproof your motors. The first step of this process involves putting electrical tape around the outside of the motors. First on the ends. Once you've put the appropriate pieces of tape on the ends, as outlined in the assembly manual, you'll want to cut this so it's a nice circle at the end. Once you've successfully trimmed the electrical tape, you will do the same to the other side and then wrap the motor with electrical tape. This will act as your first line of defense against water. Make sure that you only do one wrap so that the motor can fit in the film canister that's also used for waterproofing. When you finish the taping portion, your motor should look something like this. Make sure to mark the positive and negative terminal with a Sharpie marker. The next step is to put holes in the film canister. Make sure that you select the correct size drill bit and that you drill the hole perfectly in the center of the canister, both on the bottom and on the top side through the lid. It is essential that these holes are centered so that the motor shaft passes through without rubbing. The next step is to open up the Ethernet cable that you were given. This is done best by grabbing the brown wire and tearing it through the casing. The brown wire is not used in any of the wiring we do for the SeaPerch, so we're less concerned about its safety. Make sure you tear it out the appropriate length and that you tie knots in the green, blue, and red cables. Once this is done, strip each end, and these ends will then be pulled through the terminals on the end of the motors and then soldered. Make sure you solder the correct color to the correct terminal so that your motor turns in the right direction. The next step in the waterproofing process is covering the motor with wax. This is the messiest part of the process, and we wore gloves to do this to keep things cleaner. It's also smart to put down a covering such as paper to keep the desk clean. This wax in the film canister acts as the second protective measure in the waterproofing process. Make sure the motor is tightly packed in, that there is sufficient wax, and that the wires are coiled in the back. You'll require some cleaning after you finish this step.